Hello, hello, welcome. This is Christy Ruffino, and I want to just take a brief moment to thank you for listening. You may be a longtime fan or a brand new guest. Either way, I want to encourage you to like and subscribe our show and to share it with your friends. I really try to bring in some amazing guests with some pretty incredible stories who are all sharing to not only inspire you, but equip you to live a better life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us forward. And I've had the fortune of working with so many women to share their story, to clarify their story, and use it to be able to build their brand stronger and more vibrant and more attractive to their ideal clients. So if you have a story and you have a business and you don't know how to merge the two, let's chat. I would love to invite you to be a future author in one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books. All you have to do is go to overcomingmediocrity.org and hit the apply button. That will give you a little form to fill out so I can get to know a little bit about you and your story. And then we'll have a call. We'll strategize. We'll talk about your story and make sure that this is a good fit for you as well as for our project. Again, head over to overcomingmediocrity.org and I will talk to you soon, hopefully. Until then, on with the show.
Welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where today's top influencers and entrepreneurs on the rise share empowering stories and ninja tips to become the fuel that ignites a positive change in your life. Our guests don't simply coast through life. They don't let difficult situations stop them. They set big goals, keep their eyes on the prize, and they're joining us today to share insider secrets you can use right now to step into your power and live your purpose. Now, here's your host, Christy Ruffino.
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. I am Christy Ruffino, and I'm really excited to have Jen Vera with us today. Welcome, Jen.
Thank you. So excited to be here. Juicy topic, too.
Yes, very, very juicy. Oh, my gosh. I don't even remember when we met. I know it was a while ago. Gosh, I don't even know what group was it.
It was in Chicago.
Yes.
Was it eWomen's Network? Or no, it was like a speaking group,
Engaging
I think initially.
Speakers, I think initially is where we met. And then I know I helped Jackie produce her Latina women co-authored book project. I know you were in one of those editions.
Yes.
And then we've just stayed in connection, right? We've done a lot of things together. I know you coached me for a while. I coached you for a little while. And we, even though like you moved to Arizona, I need to visit you this winter. I love to get out of Chicago in the winter. But even though you've moved, we still stayed close. I just really admire you.
Oh, thank you. And I admire you. And you really, really supported me in getting so clear. So if you haven't worked with Christy yet, she is such a delight and such a treat and so wise.
Oh
so
my gosh. Thank you. So I know you very well. I want the audience to know you as well. And they're going to get to know a little bit about you through your story in a moment. But before we do that, I want to read your bio because it is pretty impressive. There are things in here that I didn't necessarily know. So Jen Vera has sold millions of dollars in sales in the coaching, training, and consulting world. That is a lot. She is passionate about supporting women to step into their authentic feminine power around money. And more importantly, delivering their special magic to the world. As a daughter of two immigrants born and raised in Chicago, Jen overcame much of her own resistance to sales and creating the business of her dreams that coupled travel, freedom, and high service for choice clients. I love that. It really, choice clients is key, right? Like our ideal clients. She loves activating and empowering others to do the same. Her roster of clients range from multi-six-figure and seven-figure business owners to single moms struggling to make ends meet, and her results have been consistent in supporting clients at new ceilings in income and in what they believed was possible. She teaches business and sales from deep feminine perspective that is never pushy and always graceful and easy. Wow. That I know you helped me with some sales conversation training, and really it is about not being pushy, not being salesy, but just
Mm-hmm.
being authentic and graceful. Love that.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So I know you say here in your bio that you have immigrant parents and you
Yeah.
overcame a lot through, I'm sure, that upbringing. But what brought you to the place where you're specializing specifically in this high ticket or high worth, being able to really empower women to charge what they should be charging?
Ugh. They always say that your mess becomes your message. And for me, I grew up in Chicago, right outside of Chicago, actually. And my father is from Cuba. My mom is from Mexico. And Chicago, Midwestern roots, you put your head down and you work, and like just little progress, little by little, little by little, little by little. But I had big dreams, girl. I had big dreams. And I always wanted more. And it wasn't about wealth or money for me at all, actually. It was just like I wanted to live a really big life. And I really celebrate my culture. I celebrate my parents. I celebrate what they gave to me, but it was not necessarily outside of the box. It was this paradigm of like, work hard, you put your head down, and it's very slow, kind of linear progress. And I kind of wanted a life that didn't make sense, meaning I wanted travel and adventure and career and love and all of it. And I wanted to live my life outside of the box with so much passion. Basically, I didn't see the example of what I wanted in the way that I was raised. And that doesn't make it wrong. And it just makes it, I wanted something different. And so for me, how do I get there, right? Entrepreneurship. And that was like, oh my God, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. And I was watching all of these videos with all of these, like, entrepreneurship was like the cool, it still is. It's like the cool buzz thing. Everyone's an entrepreneur, right? Like, and so you should want to be one. And I did want to be one. And in doing that, money is a big part of it. Being able to like understand the value of what you provide and being able to market and sell it effectively. Well, I was really good at marketing for other people. I was really good at talking about other people's things because I worked in the nonprofit sector. So like even nonprofit, imagine the money mindset there. It's like anything I make, I give. I have to give to greater causes, and I didn't really have the mindset that it's okay to build wealth for myself, that it's okay to have things that I wanted or desired. It was all about altruistic, and that's what felt good. So when I first started my first business and became an entrepreneur, oh my gosh, it was so hard to ask for money. Like I remember I sold copy for an entire website for $200. And I felt so much shame and anxiety about like asking for $200. That copy on that website, that organization gave like $10,000 away. They created characters from they created live characters and costumes from the characters that I created in the storyline for their website copy. And that must have cost, I don't know, thousands of dollars to produce. And I was like, wow, I can't believe I only charged $200. And thus my road to master sales and why it was so hard for me, and master just generating money in business for things that were in my zone of genius versus like what can I get versus settling, right? Like overcoming mediocrity. That's exactly what it was. Like, that's when that began, because it was just not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable to charge very little when you're pouring in so much. And I'm like, I need to like change and learn this, or I'm not going to be able to call myself an entrepreneur for very long. And so that's really how that all began.
Wow. Wow. All right. So you started this entrepreneurial journey. And,
Uh-huh.
anybody that's listening, you all know that it's not an easy journey, but the rewards are great, right? The challenges can be
Mm-hmm.
hard, but the rewards are great. And you wanted this life of travel, adventure, career, love, passion. And
Yeah.
I think that really all stems with you wanted to be able to create your own destiny, right? You wanted to be able to just be the captain of your ship instead of just being a passenger on somebody else's ship. And I love that about entrepreneurs. And we have a desire to serve, we have a desire to help, but we can't help if we're not making money, right? We're not nonprofits. We don't have typically somebody paying our bills for us. And even if we do, we have to have that sense of satisfaction, and we have to charge what we're worth and what we provide our clients. Otherwise, I think the biggest key to this is we're not doing justice to our clients. If we're charging only $200 for our coaching services, are they going to really be invested in their results?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And it's, yes, especially for coaching or transformational work, and you bring up such great points with what you say. And one of the things that I just want to get specific on is where I struggled was, okay, it's about charging what I'm worth. Because that becomes so emotional. And when it's so emotional and it's your business, it's not a very fun place to be, because it's like, do I feel good today? Okay, maybe I'll make some money. Oh, like I'm having an off day. Maybe I won't make any money. And we don't necessarily want our businesses to like be as, emotional. And I love emotions, by the way. I think they are super healthy to have. And it's a very healthy expectation to not feel the same way all the time, or to not be like happy all the time. That's just a reality, and it's a beautiful reality, right? So what I teach my clients is, instead of like talking about our worth, because that keeps us in a cycle of, oh, I need to do more self-work. I need to like contemplate my navel over and over. Do I feel worthy today? I don't know. Maybe I should cancel that sales call, right? Like, we don't want that. And so what really supports this is, when people pay you money for a service, it's ultimately because they value the service more than they value what they're paying for it. And so it's never really about your worth. It's about, what is this transformation? What is this service? What is this outcome worth to this particular client? And
Yes.
that's exactly what they pay for. And so I just needed to ping that, because it's said a lot in women's circles about like, know your worth and charge your worth. And like, we're priceless. So we're absolutely priceless. We're human beings. We're precious. Like, we are worthless in the best way because we are priceless, right? And so when we really transfer it to the reality of business is like, it's got to be your service, this transformation, this work has to be worth more to me than the money in my pocket right now.
Right. 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 Yeah. I know for me, sometimes it helps me to shift my mindset and just hold on to the belief that they're not investing in me. They're investing in their outcome, their desire, their goal, whatever they want. They're investing in themselves. Right. And I'm just the
Totally.
person that's helping them achieve that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, so let's get back to your story, because you embarked on this entrepreneurial journey, and I know you've kind of gone through a lot of um I don't want to say even gone through a lot, but I know you went through a lot of training and
Oh
working, like
yeah.
you say, with other coaches to help them make a crap ton of money, right?
Yeah.
With your sales process. So you were able to refine this or establish this process, refine it, use it, prove it, and help other people do the same thing. So tell us about that part of your journey.
Absolutely. So started a business, had no idea what I was doing, discovered the world of coaching when I hired my first business coach. And that's where I first learned the first iteration of this process, because that's how I ended up investing $25,000 in business mentorship for a year when I had $1,500 in my bank account. I'm
I
like,
can
this
relate
sales
with you.
process really works, you know?
Yes.
and and that's when I first got started in this personal development coaching world and in this high ticket sales world. As it goes, I had my first business, which was a website and logo design business. And I was selling definitely like, higher ticket things than I had ever sold, right? Like $5,000, $7,500. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is working, until it wasn't. I burnt out because my zone of genius is definitely not website design. And that's one of the first of my lessons in business is you definitely want to work in your zone of genius. You want to work at what you're good at, right? And so then I ended up, this business mentor had quadrupled her business. And I was like, I really want to do what you do. And she's like, I really need some help. And so I ended up doing sales for her. And then from there, I ended up doing sales for some other people. And they like at events, at different retreats, and started learning a lot more about how different people buy and the different aspects of sales, right? And how you connect with different people. And so so many different sales calls, different kinds of products. I did an event and it was completely in Spanish. And I was like doing sales in Spanish and like different country, right? We were in Mexico, but these were people from all over Latin America and like different mindsets and what goes into it. And so all of that fed my knowledge on sales. And so when I first started this business, it was something that people were coming to me naturally for, because I understood it. It didn't scare me anymore. And I had also gone through my own initiation with it, where it was terrifying to ask for money, had so much shame, had so much guilt. Who am I to ask for this? And then money felt so scary. It felt so scary. Like, oh my God, can I handle this? And I didn't know how to do any of that until I just put in the work and did it. And then I did. And so that's how I got into this world. And since then, I've helped businesses, brick and mortar businesses. I had just such a diverse array of clients, consultants. Now I primarily work with people that are like therapists, coaches, healers, people that also do really different and innovative things that don't necessarily know. They don't fit into a cookie cutter type of thing. And they really need a customized support for a very specialized kind of business or service. And they need a customized sales process. So that is how I started. Yeah. With the sales thing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, so I know we've got a lot of great teaching content that we want to make sure we deliver in this episode. And so let's take a quick break. And so hang tight. We'll come right back. If you're listening, hang tight. We'll be right back. And I know Jen has some great strategies, or we call them ninja tips, that you can apply to your business. So we'll be right back. I know. You hear us asking you to subscribe, rate, and review, but what does that really mean? Is it really that important? Well, if other podcast hosts are anything like me, they've put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into their show. And personally, I get really discouraged when I have something great to share and no one is listening. Beyond algorithms, ratings and reviews are critical for a show's sustainability. It goes way beyond fanning the flames of our egos or by getting a little that a girl pat on the back. Reviews create social proof and prove that our show has an engaged and loyal following. So, if you like our show, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And while you're at it, pick up one of our Overcoming Mediocrity books on Amazon. You'll be glad that you did. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back. Christy and Jen here, and we're going to dive right into the topic of money and how we can all just really empower ourselves and charge what we should for our products and services. But before we do that, before we talk about shifting that energy and our mindset around this topic, why, Jen, do you feel that most women feel shame around, that ask for money?
This is one of my favorite things to talk about. And the reason being is, we shift things when we understand them. When they're in the unknown to us and we don't understand why they are there, we make ourselves really, really wrong. And we make ourselves think that there's something wrong with us. And so my desire in talking about shame and the emotional weight and ties of money is to support people and just having so much grace and compassion for themselves, and then releasing it, because it's not our stuff. Here's the deal. Women did not enter the workforce in the Western world until the 1940s, until World War II. So we have a history. When you think of the teachings from your grandmother that were passed down to your mother, like all of these lineages maternally that taught us how to be women, right? We were not taught so much about money or about business or about the nature of living in the business world. The negotiation around money primarily took place in the home for us. It primarily took place with our husbands or fathers. We look at the history of the United States. Women were not able to own a credit card in their own name until the 1970s. The 1970s. That is just, it's wild, right?
Wow.
And so even us having our own autonomy and agency over our own money, that is a very new concept.
I did not know that. So women could not have credit cards in their own name until the 1970s. Wow.
Yep. It was in the name of your father or the name of your husband.
Huh.
And this again goes to, women feeling proprietary, right? It's very recent, like in the 1980s, where the whole controversy around Miss and Mrs. began, and a new word, Ms. But even that language, right? Miss or Mrs. You either didn't belong to anyone or you belonged to someone, and that is how you were identified out in the world. So women come to me and they're like, Jen, I'm so terrified to be self-expressed in the world, and I'm so scared of asking for money. And it's like, well, of course you are. Our entire cultural conditioning has been built around us functioning in an old way that no longer is relevant to today's world, but like our upbringing, our conditioning, the world's condition, like it hasn't necessarily caught up to where there can be parity between men and women in business and how much we earn in the relationship to money, because men have had years and years, and part of being a man growing up was learning about finances and learning about money and how to make money and having candid conversations about money. Whereas for women, one of the 3 things you're not allowed to talk about at the dinner table, because it's not polite, we ladies have to be so polite, is money, right?
Right.
So we weren't even allowed to talk about it. And this exists in our subconscious. So
and our programming, right? We were never programmed. And so it's different now because it has become the norm, but we weren't. Our initial wiring, our programming was never established in that way. And so we're behind.
Yeah. And, it's, if you do feel shame, guilt, or like any of the emotions talking about money, asking for money in your business, I think the first place to start is It's okay. And it totally makes sense that you would, because we have not had so many role models that were talking about this. We haven't had that in our culture, in our conditioning. But now that we know that, it's up to us to create the reality that we want to live in, right? Whatever that looks like for us. And the other thing about money is this is I know I teach a lot about like wealth, and people come to me to make more money, and they do, and they learn how to. And I think the other thing to really recognize, and this is going to be a very radical comment, in America, in the Western world, right? Like there is this achievement, more, 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 more. It's always got to be more, bigger, better, faster. And I also think that it's really important for women to decondition from that hierarchical, like achievement based, significant based. I'm going to base my status, my significance on how much money my business makes, whether I'm successful or not successful, because that was also conditioning. And when we, decondition ourselves, or like release that, unhook from that, we can really come to money with a very neutral and pure energy and pure desire. And I've had clients that are, they're single moms, and they want to work 4 days a week and make 6 figures and hang out with their kids. And that is a really beautiful, pure desire. And I've had clients that are just like, all right, I want to get my first million in this year. And that's like really beautiful too, but it matters why you are doing things. Are you doing things so that you can impress other people? Are you doing things for external reasons in relation to money? Or are you doing things for intrinsic reasons? And I think this is a question that we don't ask, because everyone perceives more is better. More is always better. And while I want to really support women in creating a lot of wealth and creating more parity between like who in this world had like equality between like how much wealth both genders possess, right? I think that's really important. I think it's also really important to not sacrifice yourself or your core desires in the pursuit of that, because it's you're never going to get what you want if you do that, right? It's always going to be another corporate ladder to climb, another like chase, right? And that never brings full on satisfaction.
Right. You're constantly chasing. For me, my mindset is like you said initially is, women I can speak for myself. You put your head down, you work hard. The harder you work, the more money you're going to make. And that is something that I have learned to think differently about, because now I want to work less. I want to work less. I want to work smarter, not harder. And I want to be able to make bigger transformations for my clients and actually get paid appropriately. But I always thought I had to work harder. Like I'm going to work nights and weekends, and just, I got to work harder. And it doesn't give us perspective. It doesn't give us the results we want. And we're constantly just chasing.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
It's really exhausting. And it's so part of like this whole deconditioning thing, it's so wild, is who made up the rules anyway? And you're really questioning what we were taught, because here's the deal. Taxis were the thing. And then all of a sudden an innovative idea came.
Like, what's a taxi, right?
And there was,
find one. You don't anymore. I'm sorry.
there was Uber, there was Lyft, there were like all of these ride shares, and that completely disrupted that idea. And so with technology, with the world, the way that it's moving, with us being able, you're in Chicago, I'm in Sedona, Arizona, we're having a conversation in real time right now. Everything has been so sped up. And we can't go into this new paradigm of what this world wants to look like with these old beliefs that sometimes we don't even realize that we have. If technology moves so fast, if I can produce this so much more, and like this is, going into high ticket sales. If I'm a coach and I can produce the same amount of healing in 4 hours that you would do with your therapist in 2 years. Is that worth more or less?
Right. It's worth way more.
It's worth way more.
Right. And it's a paradigm, right? It's a paradigm
Mhm.
shift.
Exactly. Exactly.
So for me, when I'm working with a coach, or when I'm working with my clients, like I'm in a whole new, like, kind of redo of what I'm working on. And it is all about streamline, simplicity, just doing it in a way that's going to be more time honoring. And honestly, because I think my priorities have shifted. But why didn't I do that years ago? Why didn't I value my time more then? I don't know. There's so many thoughts that come to my mind about this whole topic. And I
Yeah.
think it's just being able to serve and support people in a different way now. Um, and, people have so many options. So what are we going to do to create the best results and be able to use our time in the most efficient way and charge what we're worth? That's what it's.
Exactly. And I think really speaking to what you're sharing here, when we're able to claim our desires for money, for the freedom, for the life that we want, we're also able to claim our genius. We're
Mhm.
also, but because it goes hand in hand,
Yep.
right? Claiming our desires and claiming like, I can absolutely do this for you, or do this in this way, or like, this is my unique medicine, my unique genius, my unique artistry in the world. It creates this one of a kind exclusivity. Like, Christy, I don't know anyone that can do what you do in the way that you do it. I don't know anyone that can do what I do in the way that I do it. That combines like different shamanic, energetic embodiment work, that, has the skill set, that has the experience, all of it. But we don't, and I have an exercise for you. So keep listening. At the end of this show, towards the end, I'm going to walk you through a super powerful exercise that's going to help you embody what you bring to the table so much more. But we don't think of ourselves in this way, because we've been trained, again, conditioning, to think about the marketplace as this world of competition. Well, you have so many options, and therefore I've got to remain in this, like, like, if they're charging this, I've got to charge based on what they're charging. But when we really claim, like, nah, like, there's no one else that can do this for you. There's, we click, I know I can support you. Like, I'm going to change your life. Like, when we really begin to own the power of what we bring to the table, that's when everything shifts, because you no longer become a category of, 360,000 people out in the world that are providing the same service. You become a category of one. And that's exclusivity. And that's what makes selling at a higher ticket. When there's only one of you, then your time becomes even more precious. And it's not even your time. Then what you can do working with you becomes that much more exclusive, right?
Yep.
And that's also a key part in being able to really hold the tension, I call it, of a higher ticket price. It's not just having the strategy, it's you've got to be able to hold the energy of it and the power of it, which means holding the power of what you can do for others.
And honestly, this is kind of off topic, but something that I believe that we need to add to this conversation. And it is about niching down. And we only have a few more minutes left, so I don't want to take a lot of it. But if we remain in the mindset that we have to serve everybody and we have to keep adjusting, and we can't tell anybody no, and we just want to, we have this mindset of scarcity, instead of niching it down and being very specific, recognizing your zone of genius and sticking with it, right? If we don't do that, we'll constantly be chasing. And if we can just recognize and own our zone of genius and only do that, that's when we become the expert. And that's when we're going to be able to create the biggest transformations for our clients. And that's the only time I believe that we can shift into this higher ticket sales model, because we've earned the right to do that, right? We've gained the knowledge, we've gained the wisdom, and we're using the gifts that we were created to use.
Absolutely. I'm a big fan of that because it develops leadership in the marketplace. And,
Yes.
the marketplace, it is, when we look at all of the people out there that are offering services, it's a very saturated marketplace. And guess what? We all have Google, right? Like I was Googling the other day, keto chocolate chip peanut butter cookie mix.
Right.
I can get that specific. And so can the people looking for you.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
And
so
now you're going to be getting ads from everybody else that sells keto chocolate chip cookie mix, right? Because even when you niche it down farther and farther, there's still thousands of people that you can that are looking for that same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And so there's just, I love what you said, and that's a really key piece there. And underneath that whole sentiment of like really owning your expertise and like niching down, and the fear of, I need to talk about the disease to please, because it really affects people in sales. I need to talk about like the good girl syndrome and the need, because why do we not niche down? Because we're scared, and because women, we're so used to being everything to everyone. I'm the mother, I'm the daughter, I'm the sister. Okay. And we're like filling all of these roles and multitasking.
That's
and
why I don't like this idea of being the Wonder Woman, right? Because we don't need to be the Wonder Woman and go out and do it all. We don't need that.
Right. So it's like, so when someone tells you in business, well, but what about this client, this one client that I might miss out on if I only work with women, right?
Right.
But underneath that is like that fear that I won't be everything to everyone, which is also a really damaging conditioned belief that's put onto us by the culture, by what we're supposed to be, because we're supposed to martyr ourselves and like be good to everyone and be nice and be the good girl and, be everything to everyone and fill all of these roles. And if we're not filling that, then, it challenges our self-worth in this culture.
System, right. Exactly.
Yeah. This is such a
so you
deep,
have
juicy.
Yes, it's also good. And we're almost out of time. And I know you said you had a quick exercise. Is that something that you can share?
Yes.
Okay.
So those of you listening, I'm going to walk you through this. You can re-listen. If I go too fast, listen fast. So you're going to get a piece of paper and you're going to have column A and column B. In column A, I want you to write down everything that's happened in your life that you've done, that you've learned to help you do what you do, whatever business that is, right? So that could be your university diploma, your master's diploma. That could be even something like, for me, what was on my list was breaking my leg in India, because I learned a lot in terms of like the compassion, emotional development, stuff like that. So any experience, anything in column A that has helped you be the coach that you are, that has helped you be the entrepreneur that you are, that has helped you master your skill set in whatever work you're doing. And then in column B, when you're done with that, so pause this right now, finish that list. All right, now we're ready for column B. In column B, I want you to put a price tag on each of those things. So college education, that might be easier for you because you spent 30 grand a year, right? Or however much you spent on college or on your master's. Even the ones that, all right, like what would it, if you could put a price tag on it, like, if you're a grief counselor and the amount of grief that you went through when loved ones pass away, if you could put a price tag on it, that experience, what would it be? And then I want you to tally column B up. And then I want you to look at your prices. And then I want you to see how you feel about that.
Yes. I love
that. This is a really powerful exercise. If you go all in and do it and really think about it thoughtfully and really feel the amount that's tallied at the bottom, I guarantee you it's going to feel a lot easier to rethink your rates, rethink the way that you're charging, rethink your experience, and really feel your positioning in a sales conversation in a whole new way.
That's a tangible way. Making that list gives you that tangible, those numbers that you can't deny, right? It's not just an elusive, this is the rate I'm going to charge, but you're able to charge in proportion to all of this experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that, even if you're at a career, like, so maybe you're at a job for 20 years and you learned in that job how to be a really good leader. And maybe what you're doing now has nothing to do with that business, but you've got these leadership skills that you're bringing to the team that you're working with now. And so if you just kind of like dissect everything in your life and put a price tag on it, that's got to be mind-boggling.
Yeah, this has shifted so much for so many clients of mine.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen them jump from, charging in the hundreds to charging in the thousands after they do this. And they walk around differently and they talk about their work differently and they own what they bring to the table, their medicine, their genius, their magic in a different way. Because so very often we don't look at how much we've accomplished. We don't look at how many years it's actually taken us to be able to do what we do.
Yes. Wow. So I want you to share your gift in a moment, but I also want to bring up a point, because I know in my entrepreneurial journey, which has been 20 years or so, that when I'm ready to move my business to that next place, I don't hire somebody that I can afford. I hire somebody that I cannot afford. Just like you said, you invested, I think you said earlier, maybe, I don't know, maybe, I know I've done this where I've invested more money than I had, because what that did is it pushed me to be completely committed to the results that I know I deserve.
Yes.
And when we're pricing our services too low, we're not doing justice to our clients, because we're not allowing them to be as committed as they should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's really, really huge, and I think a lot of people think that charging less, oh, I really just want to help everyone. But in a way, it's enabling them to stay where they're at. And we have to trust that the people that are really ready for the big transformation, for the whatever, for the magic, the outcome that we can provide,
right,
are going to be ready to invest in a big way. And it does stretch you, but it also shows you how resourceful you can be. It also stretches what you believe is possible. It also creates all of the transformations that I've had to have a different mindset going in. And the way that you develop a different mindset is you stretch outside of what's comfortable. And when we're doing what's comfortable all the time, we're not stretching beyond that. And so we're not going to be able to see new possibilities. So transformation, stretching, up leveling, this is not a comfortable process, and I think that's the myth. The myth is that it's going to be, especially in the world of law of attraction, it's got to be like, it has to feel good all the time. But there is going to be discomfort because you're stretching and you're learning something new and you're going to have different experiences, and you're also going to walk with power and possess a level of power to handle it in a different way. And that just is a permanent shift,
I'm going back to your story when you first started, and you said as a child, you wanted a big life.
Yes.
And honestly, I want to grab the attention of anybody that's listening that as a child wanted a big life. And that is really the premise of our books, our Overcoming Mediocrity books, our Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, this is bringing together people that don't want to live a mediocre life. They want to go and do something big in the world and have an epic business and just live a amazing life. And so I want to thank you, and I want
Thank
you
you.
to have a moment to share your free gift, because I know you told me what it is, and I'm like completely blown away that you're offering this to our audience. So share what
Yeah.
that is.
Okay. So this is super valuable. This is how to have a high ticket sales conversation. So I know that it's really easy to talk about, like high concept or abstract things when we're talking about this, but this is literally guiding you with the structure as to how to have a high ticket sales conversation. It's a masterclass I did, and I'm so excited to offer it. And I know it's like just listening to this masterclass has shifted many things for people. People have closed the biggest deals in their lives just from this masterclass. And so it is my honor to offer it, because I really do believe that if women were able to possess more, if they were able to possess more wealth or understand how to create more wealth, the world would be a more peaceful place, and our children would live healthier and happier lives. And we would create just so much more beauty in the world and support Mother Earth and take care of the world that we have and take care of the people in it.
Oh my gosh, I totally agree. And so we will make sure the link for that, as well as all of the different ways for you to connect with Jen, will be in the show notes below. And I really encourage anybody that's listening, if you heard anything or many things that really resonated with you, take your notes, share that wisdom with everybody you know, because we learn better, we retain more by teaching that information. So please share that. And of course, by all means, share our podcast. We are constantly looking to bring in amazing guests just like Jen. And we want to make sure our podcast continues to grow in expertise as well as audience. And so we're really counting on you to be able to help us accomplish that mission. Share our podcast, rate us, review us, give us feedback. If you want to be a guest on a future episode, there is a way on our overcomingmediocrity.org website for you to apply to be a guest. And let's just go out there, keep encouraging others to live epic lives. And Jen, thank you so much. This was just a blast. I'm really sorry that our time has ended.
I know, me too. Me too. I could talk to you for hours about this. And thank you so much. Thank you for having this podcast and having such a great way for people to tune in and feel inspired. Hope is so valuable, and so is inspiration. So
It is.
You're a light in this world.
Oh, you too, my friend. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back, or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.